Thank you, Vice President Bresso, members of the Committee of the Regions, colleagues. Thank you very much, firstly, for the invitation to come here today to outline the priorities for Ireland's presidency of the Council of the European Union. As a former member of Dublin City Council, I have some first-hand experience of the key contribution that Europe's regional and local authorities make to the EU, both in terms of policy making, but in particular on the implementation of EU policies on the ground. The Irish Government and the Irish Presidency greatly value the work of the regions, of regional authorities, and particularly the Committee of the Regions in delivering real results for Europe's citizens. I'd like to particularly thank the Irish delegation to the Committee for their work in serving communities and regions all across Ireland and for representing the Irish regions in the EU legislative process. Ireland's presidency this year coincides with the 40th anniversary of its accession to the EU, or the EEC as it was, in 1973. This anniversary has provided us with an opportunity to reflect on the many changes brought about by membership that have positively transformed our country. One of the most profound of these changes to Ireland has been the development of Ireland's regions through EU programmes. Through this support, we've managed to improve the quality of life across all regions of Ireland in areas ranging from modern infrastructure to education and training. The regional supports provided in to Ireland have delivered real and positive change, particularly in fostering tangible economic growth, hand in hand with very strong social cohesion. I also want to highlight in particular the role of successive EU peace programmes, which have helped foster peace, reconciliation and economic cooperation across communities in Northern Ireland and on a cross-border basis on the island of Ireland. But there's absolutely no doubt that the crisis of recent years has had a negative impact on every region across Europe, and citizens are rightly demanding action from their governments and from the EU. I think that we must respond decisively and energetically. Our citizens are not interested in interinstitutional debates in Brussels about competences or further treaties. These things can be important, but I think at this point in time, our people want to see action and results in their communities, in regions, and in their countries after years of crisis. The Irish Presidency is committed to working intensively to deliver real results, working in partnership with other elected representatives in the Member States and in Europe's regions and localities. In developing our presidency programme, we engaged with the Committee, other Member States and institutions, as well as with NGOs and civil society. Our programme reflects the views expressed by all partners that the programme should focus on stability, growth and jobs for our citizens. And now we are working to deliver on these. Dealing with the fallout of the crisis has rightly taken up much time in recent years. EU heads of state and government have taken far-reaching decisions over the past 18 months to fight the crisis and to ensure that the EU and its member states undertake necessary reforms to prevent any recurrence of this crisis. The Irish Presidency will continue to respond to the challenges that the EU and its member states face. But building on the solid work achieved by recent presidencies, we must now move beyond the crisis, beyond crisis response, to implementing what has already been agreed and to creating conditions for stability, jobs and sustainable growth. Furthermore, as Presidency, Ireland will strive to ensure that citizens and their needs are placed at the very centre of all that we do. Given the direct link between members of this committee and citizens in every single region and locality right across the continent, I'm asking for your support and engagement during European Year of Citizens to help us in achieving our presidency objectives, something I know that you will contribute a great deal to. In its focus on stability, the Irish presidency will prioritise the banking union proposals, which are aimed at restoring health to Europe's banking sector and to protecting savers and taxpayers into the future. The banking union legislation is also aimed at fuelling a return to economic growth through greater credit provision of business and in particular SMEs, which are at the core of the EU's economy. SMEs play a pivotal role in our communities and regions by providing local services, creating jobs and spurring growth at both regional and local level. Our aim is to support SMEs through smart regulation, enhanced business opportunities in public procurement and easier access to EU programmes such as COSME so that they can renew and power growth and create new employment. And here I'd like to take note of the Committee of the Regions' opinion on the Small Business Act, which was authored by Councillor Connie Hannafy. We're also working to support and foster the growth of Europe's future SMEs and entrepreneurs by focusing on areas of the economy which we believe demonstrate strong growth potential and where the EU can become a global leader. That's why we're placing a strong emphasis on supporting the research and innovation sector, including through the Horizon 2020 programme, and advancing agreement on the European research area. The Presidency will host the 4th Week of Innovative Regions in Europe, the WIRE conference, in Cork in June of this year. The Presidency looks forward to the Committee's participation in this initiative, given the linkages and synergies in the context of Horizon 2020, cohesion policy and Europe 2020. I'm particularly grateful that the Committee has agreed to the Presidency's request to draft an opinion ahead of the event on the role of the regional authorities in using EU programmes to link research, innovation and regional development. Governments will also play a key role in promoting stability and a return of investor, business and consumer confidence in and across Europe. The Irish Presidency presented its roadmap for the implementation of the European semester at the General Affairs Council just last month. As Presidency, we're determined to demonstrate that EU governments are implementing the necessary reforms to restore health to public finances and to reach their Europe 2020 targets. The development of appropriate models of stakeholder engagement is key to underpinning the legitimacy and the sense of ownership of our agreed policy priorities under the semester process to support growth and jobs. This must include, of course, having regard to the crucial role of dynamic regions as the drivers of development. We will not have successful economies without successful regions. I very much appreciate the Committee of the Regions EU 2020 monitoring programme and in particular the initiative of President Valcarel to hold a conference on each of the flagship initiatives, one of which, of course, will be held in Dublin in March. This is valuable work which raises awareness and which also assists us in the implementation of our goals and our objectives on the ground and in the lives of our citizens. Creating stability and driving changes through the banking union proposals and the semester process will provide the secure and solid foundation necessary for renewed sustainable economic growth and job creation. The Irish Presidency is placing a strong emphasis on equipping the single market for the future and driving, in particular, the digital single market. Our focus on digital policies includes data protection for citizens, stronger broadband availability and web accessibility. This means that all citizens and business can benefit from the same opportunities that the web offers, regardless of where they live or work, whether in one of Europe's major cities or indeed one of the continent's more remote regions. The Presidency is also seeking to open new markets for European business and exporters by advancing trade negotiations with key partners. We in Ireland know and understand the decisive role that the provision of quality education can play in driving sustainable and long-term growth, societal change and social cohesion. The Erasmus programme has delivered enormous benefits for young Europeans in recent decades. Making good progress on the Erasmus for All programme to ensure that more Europeans and the next generation can reap the benefits that the Erasmus programme has delivered will be a major priority for the Irish Presidency. Unemployment remains unacceptably high across the EU, but the impact and implications of high levels of youth unemployment in particular are damaging our communities and regions and will have a very negative future consequences for Europe if they're not addressed. The Presidency therefore aims to make significant progress on the youth unemployment package at our EPSCO Council in February, and the issue will also form a major part of the discussions at the EPSCO informal ministerial meeting, which will take place in Dublin next week. I welcome the fact that you will vote on your opinion on the Youth Guarantee during this session, and in particular your continuous support for this initiative. I'm also grateful to the Committee of the Regions for choosing the Europe 2020 flagship agenda for new skills and jobs as the main thematic focus of the Bureau meeting, which will be held in Dublin in 4 weeks' time, given the overall Presidency focus on employment and growth. I look forward to the contribution that your knowledge and expertise of local circumstances can make in identifying and developing the right employment strategies to get Europe back to work. The Presidency has also requested the Committee of the Regions for its opinion on synergies between private investment and public funding at local and regional levels to deliver growth. We look forward to reviewing this opinion ahead of a conference in May on the impact of the crisis on local and regional finances. A competitive European economy needs a robust infrastructure. Sustainable and interconnected networks are critical to Europe's social and economic development and are therefore priorities for the Irish Presidency. The Connecting Europe facility will determine how the Union's resources will be allocated between transport, energy and telecommunications and digital infrastructures in order to deliver better benefits to consumers and enterprise in Europe's regions for this and indeed for future generations. I've mentioned the benefits that targeted regional funding has already delivered for Ireland. But Ireland is no isolated success story. Every European region has benefited from the opportunities that structural and cohesion funding have delivered and continue to deliver. The Irish Presidency is driving a jobs and growth agenda, and cohesion funding lies at the very heart of this agenda, not least in fulfilling the Europe 2020 objectives for smart, sustainable and inclusive growth. The cohesion policy regulations, and indeed several of the other programmes that I've highlighted, such as the Connecting Europe facility, are of course very closely linked to the negotiations on the EU's future financing. We all know the importance of concluding an agreement on the multiannual financial framework as soon as possible. Ireland, as Presidency, will do everything that it can to support the work of President Van Rompuy in securing agreement at next week's European Council. I'm confident that following the progress made at last November's Council, that a deal can indeed be reached. I can assure you that once agreement is secured, our Presidency will work intensively with the European Parliament and other partners to finalise work on the cohesion legislative package to ensure that programme arrangements for the new round can be and will be in place for 2014. The Presidency has also identified reform of the Common Agricultural Policy as a key objective. Early decisions on the MFF and CAP reform will secure the sustainable development of many of Europe's rural regions and is also of critical importance to safeguarding Europe's food supply and its agri-food industry, which makes such an enormous contribution to the European Union's economy. Reform of the Common Fisheries Policy is also a major priority for the Irish Presidency. Agreement on the next CFP will facilitate improved and sustainable management of current stocks and ensure that the EU's waters are protected for future generations. A reformed CFP will also contribute to the development of the EU's coastal regions. In keeping with the theme of a reformed CFP and sustainable jobs and growth, the Presidency is emphasising the potential of blue growth. As part of this, completion of the Atlantic Strategy Action Plan is also a priority for Ireland. Work has been ongoing on developing the action plan since May 2012, and the fifth and final workshop of the Atlantic Forum will take place in Cork in just over a month's time. The forum has involved the 5 Atlantic member states and, of course, the Committee of the Regions, represented extremely ably by Councillor Paul O'Donoghue. We hope to finalise the action plan after the Cork meeting for adoption by the Commission and then endorsement by the Council before the Presidency ends. Implementing and indeed embedding the strategy to deliver on growth and jobs for your regions will be a task for regional representatives. Vice President, before concluding my remarks today, I would like to outline some of the principles that will govern Ireland's presidency. The institutional framework of the EU may have changed since Ireland's last presidency in 2004, but as in the past, we will strive to serve as an honest broker, open and transparent, aiming for efficiency and with a very firm focus on results. We value partnership on the basis of the results that this has delivered for Ireland and for the EU in the past. That is why we seek to work closely with the Committee of the Regions and all of the other institutions in delivering on our presidency priorities. Ireland is and always has been a strong proponent of the community method of decision-making, and we believe that the EU has demonstrated that it's at its most effective when it works together, finding common solutions to what are shared problems. The Union continues to face serious challenges, but our steady progress in tackling the crisis demonstrates the EU's strength, unity and solidarity in tackling very grave challenges. The core principle of the Committee of the Regions are subsidiarity and partnership. The third principle, of course, is proximity, and in particular, the need for the EU to engage with citizens. I'm sure that you will agree that the EU needs to work a lot harder in this regard in the area of connecting with our citizens. As part of our presidency, we will focus on European Year of Citizens, and I'd be interested in hearing from you, given the very direct and decisive role that you play at EU level, and in engaging directly with citizens at a local level about promoting greater dialogue and citizen engagement in the EU, especially in this year. I'd like to conclude my remarks by thanking you for your support, to reaffirm that we look forward very much to working together with the committee in order to ensure that we deliver on our common objective of a better future for Europe's citizens. Thank you very much.